Took 6 months and I ended up being diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome. And the doctors told me that they didn't really understand the illness. They didn't have any kind of cure or any reliable treatment. So this was probably it for the rest of my life. I mean, I was in my mid late 20s at that point. And I was just like, wow, no. So I basically spent the next 20 years, as it turned out, just trying to figure out how to recover. And conventional medicine didn't have any answers. I learned a little about functional medicine and went into working with a nutritionist. So, getting my physical body back in balance through nutrition, through yoga. That got me a long way, but I still felt like there's more. I was like, I'm sure I can fully heal from this. And then began very reluctantly investigating the sort of mind body connection, which is where the nervous system comes into play. And that opened up a whole new field of recognizing I actually had quite a lot of developmental trauma going on, even though I apparently hadn't, I didn't have a terrible childhood or anything. I had a wonderful, loving parents and, lots of privilege in my childhood, but just certain ways we develop. Bullying at school was one thing for me that had led into this trauma piece, which meant that even though my physical body was in better shape, my nervous system was still signaling to cells that no, 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 we're in danger here. So things weren't functioning properly. So I did a lot of more psychology based work around that. Again, moved a little bit further forwards. And by this time, I was probably sort of 90% of a normal human being. But I was like, no, I'm sure there's more. And then various pathways took me into energy healing, which is getting more into the spiritual realm. But actually, I was looking at it a lot more from a sort of quantum physics perspective and understanding. So, in spiritual terms, you'd be talking about an aura. Quantum physics, you're talking more about the biofield, or perhaps I should even say quantum biology. So it was working with the energy systems in that and understanding that that's like more information that our cells are reading and responding to. And when I began to iron out the glitches in that, that's when I experienced full recovery. So now for about 3 years, I've been back to living a normal, healthy life. I mean, I still look after my body because I've carried forward all the lessons that I learned. But it's frustrating. I mean, just before we started recording, Greg, you were saying, I think you said about 24 million was a number you've heard of people worldwide with chronic fatigue syndrome.